YouTube is full of videos about tuning up a table saw. Many go into great detail showing you how to check your saw blade's alignment in relation to the miter slot, but few show you how to effectively correct the problem, at least not in any real detail. You're just told to consult your owner's manual because every saw is different. And that's true, but if I had an owner's manual, I wouldn't be searching the internet for a solution. Well, today we'll cover both the checking and the aligning. We'll discuss the pros and cons of some different methods. I'll give you some important tips to make the job easier, and we'll cover essential steps that few others tell you about. If you own a contractor's table saw or a cabinet saw, you should really watch this entire video. You're going to pick up a lot of tips. The first step is to measure how much out of alignment your saw's blade is. There are some very precise tools for this purpose, and there are some low-tech ones. Let's start low-tech. This is a combination square, and it's really all you need to check your table saw's alignment to a degree that's close enough for woodworking. Place the body of the square in the miter slot and extend the rule until the end just brushes on the side of a tooth. You don't want to deflect the blade. You just want to feel the side of the tooth dragging on the end of the rule. Lock your square, rotate the blade backwards as you slide your square in the miter slot to measure that very same tooth in the rear position. If your saw is significantly out of alignment, you may see a gap between the end of the rule and the side of the tooth. But with feel alone, you can detect even small misalignments based on how hard the tooth catches on the end of the rule as compared to the forward position. We're using the same tooth for both the forward and rear measurements because we don't want any subtle differences that may be in the blade itself to compromise the reading we get from the saw. You may even mark the tooth with a Sharpie so you can return to it for more readings as you make your adjustments, which we're going to get to here shortly. This method relies upon your sense of feel, and as I said, touch alone can be very accurate. But if you prefer something more precise, you may use a dial indicator jig like this one. I like this one because it's of excellent quality, but it's still fairly inexpensive. I'll put a link to it below this video. Its use is pretty straightforward. There are little spring-loaded nubs that automatically adjust the fit in your slot because your miter slot is probably a little more or a little less than 3/4 of an inch. Adjust the cross piece to extend the end of the dial so it's in contact with the flat side of the blade. Then zero out the dial. Notice I'm not reading from the saw tooth with this jig. I read from the tooth before so I could feel it catch or brush against the end of the rule, but a dial gauge doesn't rely upon feel. It takes an actual measurement. And since the side of a tooth is ground at an angle, it can be difficult to get a perfectly consistent measurement on the side of a tooth. So instead, I choose a point on the flat saw plate behind the tooth. I mark that with the Sharpie and I take all my measurements from there, both in the forward and rear position. You'll notice that this particular dial indicator has 3 scales. The inner scale is in hundredths of an inch. The middle scale is in fractions, which is very useful for woodworking. But for this, we want the outer scale, which reads in thousandths of an inch. As you can see, from front to back, the runout of this saw is about 5 thousandths. That's not too bad, but I think we can do better. You're never going to adjust your saw until you have 0 runout. If you have a high-end saw that's equipped with set screws for fine-tuning the alignment, you may get within a couple thousandths. But if your saw has to be adjusted with a mallet, which is a method we're going to show you here shortly, 4 or 5 thousandths may be as good as it gets. My point is, don't strive for a level of perfection that you just can't achieve. Even premium saw manufacturers that carefully align their saws at the factory consider about 5 thousandths to be perfectly acceptable. That sounds like a lot, but it's only about the thickness of a human hair. However, here's something few people really consider. My saw blade's runout happens to be to the left. The rear of the blade angles away from the rip fence. Now what if it angled toward the rip fence? In that case, it would pinch the wood between the back of the blade and the fence. Now a few thousandths is not enough of a pinch to cause a kickback, but it can affect the quality of the cut. 6 or 7 thousandths of runout toward the fence may leave more teeth marks on the edge of your board or more scorch marks, especially in certain woods like maple or cherry. I'm not saying you have to achieve better than 4 or 5 thousandths of runout. That may not be possible. I'm telling you to get it as parallel to the miter slot as possible. But since you will never achieve perfection, it's better for the air to be away from the fence, not towards it. Now here's where things get interesting, because there's one more measurement you really should take, but this measurement is rarely mentioned in many of the videos and articles I've seen on the subject. You must not only see if your blade is aligned to the miter slot when it's at 90 degrees, sticking straight up from the table, but you also must ensure that it remains parallel to the miter slot when it's tilted to 45 degrees. If your bevel cuts aren't coming out right, that could be your problem. I mention this now because we're in the part of the video we're talking about measuring the runout. However, this measurement at 45 degrees should be taken after you've corrected for any error with your blade at 90 degrees. So we're going to return to this, but I just wanted you to be aware that we'll be coming back to this important alignment procedure once we've made our 90-degree adjustments. Now we have two saws in the shop. We have a cabinet saw and a contractor saw, and that covers most woodworkers. The 90-degree blade alignment procedure is completely different between these two types of saws. Of course, there are also subtle differences between brands, but generally speaking, large enclosed cabinet saws are adjusted by moving the table in relation to the blade, while contractor saws, which have the motor hanging out the back, are adjusted by moving the blade in relation to the table, or more specifically, the trunnions that hold the blade carriage mechanism beneath the table. Cabinet saws are easier to adjust. We're going to begin there. Then we'll move on to contractor saws. But don't skip ahead if you don't have a cabinet saw, because some of the things we discuss also applies to contractor saws and there's no need to repeat them. So you really should watch the whole thing. As I said, a cabinet saw is adjusted by rotating the cast iron tabletop. The blade carriage mechanism beneath is completely independent from the top, so that makes this pretty simple. There are usually 4 bolts holding the top onto the steel cabinet beneath. Locate the right bolts, and then loosen 3 of the 4. The 4th bolt can be loosened a little bit, but keep it more than finger tight because that will provide a pivot point so we can adjust the table. On most saws, any bolt can be your pivot point, but I think it's best to choose one of the 2 under the front edge of the saw. Some newer saws, like mine, have a pivot point automatically set by a pin in the center between the 2 front bolts, and in that case you'd loosen all 4 bolts, not just 3. My saw is also equipped with set screws for fine-tuning the alignment, one on each of the rear corners, and that makes this process a lot easier too. But if your saw doesn't have set screws, you can still adjust it, you just have to do it with a rubber mallet. In fact, let's pretend mine doesn't have the set screws because I think that will help more of you out there. We're going to just use the mallet process. First, I have to determine which direction I need to rotate my table. Now, since my blade is angled to the left, I want to rotate the table counterclockwise. So I take my rubber mallet and I give a good firm whack to the rear left corner of the table that physically nudges it in the counterclockwise direction. If I go too far or I need it to turn clockwise to begin with, I give it a whack on the rear right corner. I prefer to hit on the rear corners because I don't want to bang on the fence rail on the front corners. That could cause a misalignment there. That's also why I like my pivot bolt, the one I leave tight, to be in the front. That just makes it easier to pivot by hitting on the back. It's also why I want that bolt to be more than finger tight, so there's at least some resistance to the force of that mallet, which makes fine adjustments a little easier with a crude tool like that. It's important to remember that the pivot point is at the bolt that you left tight, or in my case, at a pin in the center of the table. It's not at the front of the blade. So as I rotate the table counterclockwise, I'm moving the miter slot in relation to both the front and the back of the blade to different degrees and even in different directions. This means I can't leave my gauge on the blade and just tap on the corner of the table until the needle reads 0. I have to make a small adjustment, then move the gauge to the front of the blade, re-zero the dial, and then go back and check my progress on the back of the blade because both are moving. It's a fiddly process, which is why you're unlikely to ever achieve perfect alignment. But do your best, then retighten the 4 table bolts so you can keep that alignment long term. Now write down the amount of runout that you were able to achieve. Let's say it was 3 thousandths. Then tilt your blade to almost 45 degrees, stopping short of the internal stop so that you don't put pressure on the mechanism and skew it a little bit. And measure the runout in that position as well. Let's say the runout at 45 degrees is 8 thousandths, or maybe it went the other way and now it's a negative 4 thousandths. Do the math and see what the difference is between your 90-degree reading and your 45-degree readings. If the difference is more than 3 or 4 thousandths, you should think about making adjustment to the blade tilt axis. On my saw, there's an internal adjustment that may be made to correct that problem. But most cabinet saws require you to re-loosen those 4 bolts, all 4 bolts this time, and shim beneath the tabletop to adjust its plane in relation to the tilt axis of the blade. So if in the 45-degree position, the rear of the blade is biased to the left, place shims between the cabinet and the tabletop under the 2 rear mounting points. If the blade seems to be biased to the right, place your shims beneath the table on the 2 front mounting points. This will tilt the table to conform with the blade tilt axis. Now, since you've loosened your bolts, you may have thrown off the 90-degree blade alignment that you just worked so hard to achieve. It's a pain in the butt, but you're going to have to backtrack and correct it. But thankfully, the tilt axis alignment doesn't get messed up very often. So if you have to adjust it now, you probably will not have to do this again for a very long time. Now let's apply these lessons to our contractor saw. In this case, the blade carriage hangs inside by its trunnions, which are the half-circle tracks that are bolted to the underside of the cast iron top and allow the whole mechanism to tilt. Contractor saws are more difficult to adjust because these trunnion bolts are often difficult to access. Sometimes you can reach the rear trunnion bolts from behind your saw, but the front bolts may have to be reached from beneath the saw with a socket wrench and a long extension. Again, loosen 3 of the 4, both on the rear trunnion, 1 on the front trunnion. Leave the second bolt on the front trunnion more than finger tight. Since you're essentially moving the blade instead of the table, the direction of adjustment is opposite that of what we did on the cabinet saw. If the back of the blade is angled to the left, you have to shift the rear trunnion to the right, and vice versa. On this saw, I can get the end of a stick of wood on the right side of the rear trunnion and turn it in that direction with some mallet taps. I'm tapping on the casting around the bolt head, not the bolt head itself, which of course isn't going to move. If I have to turn the trunnion in the other direction, it's more difficult because it's hard to access that bolt. I can sharpen the end of my stick to a point, and that can help me get in there. I would avoid wanting to use something like a piece of steel rod because that could damage the soft cast iron. Alternatively, I may tap down lower on the carriage casting. That would move the trunnion, but if I hit that too much, I risk throwing off the tilt axis of my blade. So I like to keep my blows on the trunnion itself near the bolt heads. If you can't access this well through the back, you can try getting under the saw, or you can put the end of the stick through the throat opening and try to access the trunnions from there. The problem with that method is you have to remove the blade to make the adjustment, then put the blade back on to measure the progress and back and forth, and it can be a little bit of a hassle. Like my cabinet saw, my contractor saw is equipped with trunnion micro adjusters, which make the job much easier, so I don't have to use the mallet and stick. But there's no need to be jealous, because you can buy aftermarket micro adjusters for pretty much any contractor style saw. These are called saw pals, and they are pure genius. They slip onto the bolts on each side of the rear trunnion, and they provide a way to adjust the saw in fine increments with an Allen wrench rather than the stick and mallet. They are not a sponsor, it's just a great idea. If your contractor saw does not have a way to micro adjust the trunnions, get a set of these. I'll put a link below this video. Once your blade is parallel to the miter slot as possible at 90 degrees, tilt it nearly all the way to 45, just as we talked about before, and compare that reading to the 90-degree reading. Adjust the tilt axis of the blade on a contractor saw is also a different and a little bit more complicated process than the cabinet saw. In this case, you'll place your shims between the trunnions on the underside of the table, either the front 2 or the back 2. This will tilt the blade carriage mechanism below the table in relation to the saw top and correct for a 45-degree runout. After you do that, of course, again, you have to recheck and readjust the 90-degree blade alignment as needed. Properly aligning your table saw will give you cleaner cuts, less scorching, and more accurate miters and bevels. It pays to check it from time to time, even if it is a hassle, and make adjustments as needed, because a well-tuned saw is a safe and accurate one. Don't forget to check out the links below this video to some of the tools we use, such as the gauge and those micro adjusters. And also you'll find a whole series of other table saw videos that we've made that will help you become more proficient and safe with everything you do regarding this essential tool. If you get what you pay for, then why are bandsaw blades so inexpensive at sawblade.com? Seriously, they're as good as any I've used. They come in any size you need, and they cost quite a bit less than anything comparable at the woodworking retailers. Try them for yourself at the link below this video. You'll see. Wait, don't go yet. If you're new here, please subscribe and remember to ring the bell. I would really appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up, or better yet, leave us a comment. I always read them. And be sure to check out the latest issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. It's always packed with tips, tricks, and tutorials designed to make you a better woodworker.